guys, what is going on? So today I'm with Chris, who is over there, but we are comparing the 1.8 to the 1.4 today. So we're basically going to go comparisons such as horsepower, kind of torque, kind of like the interior and kind of what is actually the difference between the two. Obviously they're very similar cars, and with performance wise as standard there's not much of a difference, but I'll go through all the performance enhancements you can make and go for everything that Chris has already made to his, and then go for a bit about mine again, which I've already done, but kind of just clarify between our cars before we kind of do any specs or any sort of racing, just see obviously which kind of performance does better. All right guys. So one of the major differences with already, obviously it being a 1.8, mine being a 1.4, is just the engines. I'll quickly go through the specs. I'll also leave a link to Parker's, which will actually differentiate the two engines, and you kind of look at yourself. But I'll kind of give you the basics over. So straight away, just the style of the engine, the look. Chris actually does look like an engine, and you know it looks a bit more beastie. Whereas if I go to the 1.4, it's barely an engine. So obviously I have got the induction kit, so there is usually the air filter just there. But mine has obviously got the induction kit pipe, but straight away I love the engine more on the 1.8 just because it looks more like an engine, whereas it kind of looks like they've just made it in about 5 seconds with Lego, to be honest. But back to the 1.8. So Chris is currently, the 1.8 runs 177 bhp with 184 newtons of torque standard. So Chris has had it mapped by, let me remember this, Celtic Tuning, which is in Northampton, is that right? Yeah, Northampton, which has now put him up to the area of 220 bhp and 225 newtons of torque. So straight away that's a big boost already, compared to my 1.4, which is stage 1 by Motec, which put it up from 148 brake horsepower up to 201, I believe it was quoted at. Obviously it hasn't been dynoed, but they quoted it at about 201. So yeah, that's the biggest part of the engine difference, is obviously the power and torque. But in terms of standard, the specs actually isn't that different. The 0 to 60 time, I believe the 0 to 60 time in the 1.8 is about, I think it's quoted at, in Parker's anyway, about 7.3 actually, and then the 1.4s are quoted at about 7.8. so obviously there's not much of a different standard, but I've realised after me and Chris have driven on the dual carriageway together and everything, where my 0 to 60 time seems to be a bit better than his. Obviously I've got the throttle responder as well, but he does, obviously when it cuts to high speed, his torque kicks in and he can start putting away from me at higher speeds. So what we'll go through now, who will kind of go over like what it's like to drive my 1.4, because obviously he's driving the 1.8 all the time, because it is his standard car, same as mine. So he'll kind of go over what it's like to drive it, and I'll go over Chris's what it's like to drive here, kind of differences, do you feel any difference? And then we'll kind of talk a bit more about the differences of the car as well. All right, catch you in a bit, guys. Straight away, he has full leather, which I don't. I have half leather, half fabric.
Because I'm royalty.
Royalty, mate. All right, let's see what this beast has got.
It's an eco.
It's a lot quieter than mine already. Can we put it into sport?
No.
Oh. It's all a gimmick. So, when you got it remapped, what kind of, did you feel the performance difference? Obviously going from that
yeah,
one.
I remember asking the guys, like, would you feel it just in sport, or would you also feel it in eco? And it's throughout, you know, any mode you put it in, you'll definitely see the difference. I think because what he says, anything really over 40 plus in terms of horsepower, it's a significant difference. It's something that it's seen as a good or quite a large gain.
Yeah.
So definitely. Also you'll notice is with the torque being high as well, I can sort of hover in lower gears a lot easier. So yeah, I can go, as long as the road is flat, I can be in fourth at 20 miles per hour.
With my 1.4, I'm not sure you have the same problem. As soon as the roads are wet, as soon as I put my foot down, I don't. I already can feel the power difference in this. Okay.
Thanks very much. I'll let you have it. But it feels extra powerful. It's got that shell fuel, 100%.
Shell fuel all the way.
Got that. So 99 octane, whatever it is.
I can straight away already feel the difference in power.
What, in terms of acceleration?
In terms of acceleration, yeah, just straight away with the throttle. I mean, mine kind of, even with the throttle responder on, obviously you have that power straight away, whereas yours kicks you back a little bit more. and people do say there's not much power difference between the 1.4 and 1.8, but to be honest, I
think they're right as in standard.
Yeah.
Only reason being is because the difference between the 150 and 180 is 30 difference. But in terms of weight as well, which, like you said, well, your 0 to 60 is greater or better because you're lighter, but the difference in horsepower isn't enough to make that difference in weight. That makes sense. So the power to weight ratio is probably in the 1.4 favour, which means you can get to your 60 quicker.
So obviously, what's your plans for the future for it?
So next thing is probably induction kit.
Yeah.
I like to hear the engine a little more, even though I do blast my music. It'd still be nice to hear it.
Yeah.
Also, I think it makes the engine compartment look less plain, as we did see it earlier today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks quite nice, but it's very bland black, isn't it? Where yours, even though it may not have the cover, it does have this massive pipe sticking out of it.
Yeah.
So it would be nice to maybe decorate the engine a bit, and that also help performance of the car. Even it's only subtle improvements, but.
Do you think about doing anything to the exhaust?
Yeah, definitely. That will probably near the end, because it will probably, even though I want to keep it singular, it probably will change to sort of quad or dual.
Yeah.
But that means I'll have to get my Maxim kit cut in and the back of the bumper to be cut as well, so I can fit that other exhaust at the end.
Do you know what kind of sort of exhaust system you're looking to get?
I've heard about Scorpion being pretty good. I think that's the brand, is it? Scorpion?
Yeah, Scorpion, yeah.
I also quite like your brand as well. What's your brand?
Reams is quite nice.
Those are brands.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't really looked as such, because that's near the sort of later end. I'm expecting myself to get that. I'm not anticipating myself to sort of get that until later end next year. So there's probably some time.
This feels a lot. Sorry to interrupt, but this feels a lot powerful more than mine. Especially in the high gears. Like I said, your torque is high, but it just feels like it just glides a bit more than mine. It just glides, whereas mine. Obviously, I'm not sure if it's because I've got a louder exhaust, but it's like
probably.
But I have to admit, guys, this 1.8. I mean, I know I'm quite low from 1.4. I do like it, but the power in this is just feel much more immense. In higher gears, it feels so nice. But like you said, you've got that sounder core, which is obviously it creates an artificial engine noise.
It's not even real, right?
It's not real.
Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah,
because that's what it is.
Real.
It's not real.
You need to get that exhaust, then you can get a straight pipe out.
I don't want a straight pipe. It sounds awful at the back. I mean, I'll admit, no one really gets the back of my car, but no, I don't want that monotone that goes all the time.
Yeah.
Maybe have a little bit more aggression, but I'm not.
So, obviously, the other thing I was going to say is the steering feels a lot different to mine. So what I've realised is, I know that they've got different. I believe they've got a different steering rack in the 1.8. I might be wrong.
Well, mine is slightly different because mine's in dynamic mode from that.
Yeah, true.
So it will feel more stiff, more rigid.
But no, it feels a lot different. It feels a lot nicer. But guys, you'll see say I'm always pro for the 1.4, but with the 1.8 I'll definitely, if you're looking for a bit more power, and obviously one thing I'll go on is obviously modifications are a lot easier for the 1.4. It's very difficult to actually find, personally on my side, is when looking for modifications. The 1.4 is actually very difficult to find for. So like the induction kit, obviously I had to drive to Liverpool to get a custom one, whereas the 1.8 you can get one from Ram Air, you can get one from Pipe Across. It's just a lot easier to find, obviously, because it is a bigger engine, and you can do a lot more with it. Obviously, you're going to have to get more enhancing performance mods to, if you are going to remap in stage 3, stage 2, you are going to get obviously enhanced performance mods. You need to get enhanced parts to actually suffice what you're doing to the car. But for just obviously being stage 1, you don't need any of that. But the power of this is just immense. One of the things I already know that the 1.8 will be better is if Chris does go for a custom exhaust or a Remus or Scorpion or whatever he wants to go for. Or Miltech, but it will sound nicer. When he gets it, it will sound nicer. Obviously, the annoying thing with the 1.4, with that the active cylinders of control, when it goes to that 2-cylinder mode, you can tell it just makes a nasty, you've heard it while I've been driving. But it's nice to be back in a quieter car, to be honest. But when Chris gets it, if Chris does get his exhaust done, it will have a nicer noise. Probably will get more pops and bangs out of it.
Also with this Leon as well, the reason because I guess you suppose you could say I could have gone for 1.4 and a similar age to Ryan's car, so 66 plate. The reason I went for this specific car as opposed to, so not just because it's 1.8, but the reason I went for this particular car was one, the colour. Leon green isn't actually available anymore in at least one of the Leons. And also as well with this car, it's got some additionals to it. So what the dealership reckoned, I don't know if this is actually the case, but the guy that had got the car had all these, I think it had all these additional specs put onto it. So it has things like auto lights, Sear sound, which is like when you have the sort of engine sound system, like that. You also have, the leather interior. I think it has headlight washers.
Yeah, it does have headlight washers.
I don't use them.
I deactivated it before, didn't you?
Yeah,
By the 11.
I just
So kind of like just last specs. Obviously, me driving 1.8 is. I have to admit, I'm quite surprised. So obviously, I didn't think there'd be much difference, but the power in it and it delivers, it just feels so much different to my 1.4. So obviously, if you are looking for a car that you can modify easier, it's going to be a bit cheaper to modify. And you kind of look at go those higher horsepower figures, then I would suggest going for 1.8. Whereas, obviously,
That's
what a text tone,
mate.
What even was that? But if you go, obviously, you want to go for 1.4. Obviously, 1.4 is a bit more economical, and obviously you can't. I'm really liking this car, Chris. I am really liking this car.
Well, the thing is, it's a nice car, but you got to be mindful of the other things. Like economy-wise, I will not get much of the tank of fuel as that yourself, because you've got that two-cylinder sort of mode that activates whenever you drive. I will be 4 cylinders all the time, so I won't have that economy. So when it goes onto the motorway, it won't be able to.
Won't be able to
save
do the
much
miles
fuel.
behind
Yeah.
us. I mean, I reach an average of about 55. What about you? That's on motorway.
Just have a gander, mate. What was it, car?
What, your most recent one?
Yeah. So I've been
God,
driving.
this thing is slow.
See, exactly. So it's not very responsive because of its age.
Long term 35.7.
Yeah, so that is, and then I think see it quote about 47. You won't get 47. Don't get yourself.
With dealers, you always just knock it back.
I think also I looked up. It says you get up to 517 miles in a tank. You get about 450 if you're lucky. That's if you're going downhill neutral. Yeah, you won't expect anything like that, especially if you're going to be ragging it every other sort of day. It's nice to drive a sports mode, but you will guzzle that fuel.
But we'll get you in my car now. You can drive that, see if you feel any difference. Hope you don't crash it, it's my baby. And yeah, guys, so we're going to jump into my 1.4 now, and then Chris is going to kind of give his opinions on that and obviously what it's like to drive. So guys, we're in my car now. Chris, take it away. You can just drive.
Mate, firstly, we've got to put in sports mode, because it's only fair, isn't it?
Drink my fuel.
It's only fair, mate. Tell you what though, that's that. Oh, it's that of you.
So can you see? That sun is very low.
Mate, oh fucking hell, stalled it.
Stalled it.
I mean, aside from your exhaust as well, I find that your car's very. I don't know. I don't really feel it's different in terms of if you're driving leisurely, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
This way.
Anything with the steering?
Well, the thing is, it's in dynamic mode, so. Because it's in dynamic mode, I don't know. Do you think it's more stiff as opposed to?
I found that your steering was a bit more stiff than mine. Mine feels a bit lighter.
It does feel lighter, yeah, but I don't know if that's because we're in sports mode. Would it be different in eco? So the ecos is lighter.
I mean, when we hit a road that you can put your foot down a bit, you can kind of see what the performance. You feel like there's any difference. I mean, just driving down here, I felt like there was a bit of a difference with your car straight away.
I feel like I don't feel the road because I think the 1.8 has individual suspension system, doesn't it? But yours is it's slightly different. It's a suspension system between the two, isn't there? So I feel like it feels softer in your car. It doesn't feel as, because of course you've got smaller wheels as well. You don't feel the road as much.
Yeah.
So it does feel. You don't feel the road as much. You don't feel the bumps as much.
That's weird, because when I met up with someone else with I see it on 1.4 as well, but he had a 6. I think he had a 14 plate, I believe.
Yeah.
He said that my suspension felt more stiff than his.
It was just because we're going on sort of quite flat roads at the moment.
Yeah.
It also does feel comfortable.
Is that a bit too loud?
See, when you're at the front, in terms of exhaust systems, it's okay. That's one thing I'll always admit, it does sound nice when you're at the front, but when you're the poor soul at the back of the car, and like you said, when it goes down to 2-cylinder mode, that's when that sort of wallow sort of tone, as I like to call it. Like, I can definitely see what you mean by picking up speed. I mean, because your throttle's full stop, it does feel like in the higher gears.
You feel like your car does better in the higher gears?
Higher gears, I think my car can pick up the pace a bit more. So if we were rolling at 60 and 5th gear, and we both were to floor it, I think I would pull ahead.
Yeah,
but I think if it was from a standstill, bearing in mind that I can't pull off at high speeds because I just was, I probably think you'd win in that scenario as well.
Yeah, obviously looking kind of for a second, think these cars are kind of like standard. Do you kind of feel like that because you drove your standard, didn't you, and I drove myself standard, so trying to take your car back to standard, do you feel like there's much of a difference?
Do you know what, in standard, I felt that the 1.8 feels sluggish, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't feel like the power justifies the size of the engine, the size of the car. And I think that's just me being a bit, expecting more of a car that most 1.8s don't actually have. If that makes sense. So,
Yeah. Well, when you come off, actually, there's one thing I'm not sure if your car has. When you come off,
yeah,
when you get a bit high gear, put your foot all the way down, and then you should feel like a click thing on the accelerator. Click it past that. Does yours do that? Does it have like a click at the end of the accelerator?
Mate, if it does, I don't notice it.
So like when you come off, when you come round, it gets a bit higher. So just literally put your foot all the way down.
All the way round, or go straight ahead?
Yeah, you can go all the way round if you want.
I didn't. It's okay. It's bad man though. Okay.
Do you feel that thing click? So foot all the way down. Let's just keep.
Oh yeah. Now
for the click.
Yeah.
I haven't got a click
right at the end.
Apparently it's a thing that it just kicks in kind of the last bit of kind of what the car's got.
Also, I noticed as well, since you're in sports mode at the moment, even though I'm not massively flooring it,
Yeah.
but I've definitely noticed that your mileage actually isn't going down as much because you've got that two-cylinder mode, which is actually popular right now.
So the two-cylinder mode kind of works like if you are idling and kind of just idling, sorry, wrong word. If you're kind of just sitting at the same speed, it will activate. I believe it doesn't activate after 80 miles per hour. So obviously that,
if you're cruising at 90,
it won't turn off.
Okay.
Like when you come out, like when you're driving, do you wish you got the 1.8? You happy with 1.8, or is there anything you'd like to put from the 1.4 into 1.8? Just obviously just driving it casually.
I think if you're doing casual driving, if you want it for work, everyday life, you want something that will be for value. Honestly, and that sounds probably pretty bad, but I would probably say you're better off getting 1.4, mainly just because of the saving you'll get.
Yeah.
However, if you are looking for a car that will be powerful, but you're not looking at sort of, you don't want to get a GTI, you don't want to get a Focus ST, you want something that's a reasonable price.
Yeah.
1.8 would be right for that. I think because I don't drive too much. I mean, you remember me in my Chevrolet, I never drove anywhere.
Yeah,
I
Chevrolet.
avoided it. So
What was it, Ford Focus first, then a Chevrolet?
it was Ford Focus like you, then it went to a Chevrolet, and that thing broke down. I remember driving into a little car park and the power steering went. But yeah, I think the best way to sort of look at it is what you sort of want out of the car. If you want good power but good eco too, and you want sort of, I suppose, because I guess the ways, I'm not too sure, but I think that probably the 1.8s are probably more expensive in comparison to 1.4.
Yeah.
I think you've also got now the 2 litres that are out, which are 190 PS, so it's about 187.
Yeah, about 187. Yeah.
187, 185. So that's also, you've got to think it's more expensive. So would it be worth getting a 16, 17 plate 1.4 as opposed to a 14, 15 plate 1.8?
Yeah.
Your entertainment system is a lot better than mine, which is probably one of the things that bugs me the most. I do know someone has an 18 plate FR, and he's only 125 PS, which is just awful. Don't get the 150. Don't kid yourself. Get the 150. Don't get the 125. It's a lie. Get the 150. Because let's be honest, I think a standard Fiesta will start rocking you up if you're rocking that. But in all seriousness, yeah, 150s is probably. I think for the most people, for the people that want just a nice, powerful car, but also one that can, just do average day driving, 9 to 5, whatever's. Yeah, 1.4 would be better. However, I think if you want that power, but you don't want that high-end price, or that that too much price, yeah, 1.8 or the 2 litres are probably where you're at. My verdict would be, if you just want a nice Leon, but you want to be reasonable with your money, 1.4. If you want a little bit more powerful, but you don't want the Cooper sort of end sort of thing, because they're quite expensive, of course, then yeah, I would say 1.8, yeah, or 2 litre, depending on what you fancy.
Alright guys, I'm going to finish the video quickly outside the car. So yeah, I'll catch you guys in a bit. Thanks for doing that today, Chris.
No,
thanks for letting me borrow your 1.8 as well. Alright guys,
Sorry.
I'll catch you in a second. So guys, so there you have it. So a bit of a comparison to give you a bit between the 1.8 and the 1.4. So it have now brought out the new 2 litre, which is in the facelift model. I believe they're 17 onwards. They've brought out the FR Sport. So I'll hopefully be able to do a review on that soon if we can get access to one. But yeah, leave your comments below in obviously the comparison between the 1.8 and 1.4. If you've got a 1.8 or a 1.4, kind of leave your comments below and see what you think's better. And it's just a nice discussion to get going. And it's just to when anyone coming around it obviously can see the difference between them both and kind of get everyone's opinion about it before they actually go out and buy either of the cars. All right, guys, so I'll catch you next time.